Hello guys, today I'm doing a installation video for the MSI X99A Gaming Pro Carbon Series X99 chipset motherboard, along with the Intel Core i7 6850K 6-core processor, and the Samsung VNAD SSD 950 Pro M.2 edition, the SSDs. Let's take a look at the motherboard. So you can see I've already installed the M.2 SSD, which is very easy. Basically, you just drop it in and screw it on. So that is already installed. And I'm also going to show you guys how to put on the gigantic Noctua U14S, the air CPU cooler. It's their newest offering. That's a little bit quieter and smaller than their NH-U14 and D15 series air coolers. So let's get started. And you can see I'm using a Defy R5 case from Fractal Design. I've already had my Seasonic PSU installed, as well as my Blu-ray player, and I've already wired my cables, just getting ready to have the motherboard installed so I can put everything together. The only thing that's not coming today is the GTX 1080 graphic card, because that is arriving tomorrow, so I'll put a separate video for that card. But today I'm going to be installing almost everything else. So let's get started. Okay. I have my motherboard here. Drop it into the slot. Okay. And let me go grab some extra parts really quick. So the good thing about the cooler is you don't have to access the back of the motherboard to install it. Everything's done in the front, which is a big plus. This is for the LGA2011 mounts. I'm not sure how it goes for the LGA11-V3 series mounts, but so we can just use this one angle view and have everything installed. Okay. So of course, we have to have the CPU put into the slot first. And I don't even know how to open it. Okay. It's very tight. And I think that's okay. Remove the plate, and I think I'm going to drop in my processor. And align the little mark. March is right over there. Okay, that's good. So I think we're securing this one first, and then this one. Okay. Now it's firmly secured. The next step, I'm just going to be following the Noctua installation instruction. The first step is actually putting the bolts onto the plates. Okay, get started. So we have 4 bolts provided. And let me find those bolts. Right over here. Oops. It'll look like that. Okay, so you put actually the thicker part onto the motherboard and screw it in securely and tightly, but not too tight. Okay. I think hand tightening is enough, because if you over tighten, you might just over thread. And second step is actually putting those curved plates onto those bolts. So we have two orientations. If we want the orientation to be vertical, means the fan blowing outside of the case, we'll be doing it like that. Okay. So here's the mounting plate, looks like that. And it says make sure to have the curving outside instead of inside. Okay. Let's see. And I think you're supposed to have this, supposed to have the bolts facing upward. At least that's what I think. Because if you have it facing downwards, it doesn't go in all the way. Okay. All right, and that orientation gives us the, let's find the heatsink. Okay. So that goes in this direction, which is wrong, so I have to actually set it in a different direction. So if you want it to be blowing outside, you do it like that. And then the last step is actually just simply screwing the bolts on the heatsink to this little hole over here and secure it. So as you can see, it comes like that with the fan already installed, but in order to access this bolt, you'll have to remove the fan, which is a super easy step. Basically, it have two springs. You just lightly pull the spring out and the fan is detached. It's that easy. Okay. So now we can have access to the two screws over here and over here. And of course the back plate, never touched and very clean. Since my finger just touched the processor, I'm gonna use some alcohol and just wipe the surface clean, so the heat spread can go very nicely. All right. I'm using just regular alcohol spray. Wipe it clean. Okay. All right, perfect. Now it's very clean. At least I hope so. So the next step is take a look. Is actually secure the thumb screw onto the back plate. Once you have the position determined, thumb screw looks like that. And it's very easy to install with the Noctua included tool. Secured like that. Just lightly threaded in, and once you have everything put in, you tighten it in a crisscross pattern, so that way the force is evenly distributed. Okay. And I'm not making it really tight, just to the point there it's tightened, but not too tight. Okay, so the plate is securely installed. Okay, and I think we forgot one important step, is actually secure the motherboard to the case first, because otherwise it would just move around. Okay. Find some screws. Excuse me. Okay. I'm just lightly thread those in, and when I have every screw in, I'll tighten them all together. Okay. Almost there. And for the motherboard, you also don't want to over tighten everything. Just make sure it's firmly in place, and that's enough of force. Alright, so we're almost done. So next step is actually applying the thermal paste, and it cautions you that you shouldn't apply too much, because that actually lowers the thermal performance. So just enough to cover the surface of the processor. Okay, going it one time. All right. The thermal paste is actually included, so we'll use Noctua's provided thermal paste. Okay. Premium grade thermal compound from Noctua, NTH1. Okay. Let's see. So it says 45mm diameter. Let's try. And I think that's about enough. But we can always measure. I have a caliper here. It says 45mm. Let's go with 5. So that's about this much. Let's see if it's actually 1.5. Yep, it looks just about right. So we can proceed to next step, which is actually remove the spring from the fan, so we can access the bolts, which we've already did a few minutes ago. And it's the actual installation part. Okay. And just to be sure, I think we'll actually install our memory first. So according to the suggestion from the motherboard, the DIMM 1 and DIMM 2 should be installed first. Sorry, DIMM 1 and DIMM 3. They go as a pair. So that's 1 and that's 3. Oops. It's reversed on the other side. Okay. That's the first one. And this motherboard supports quad channel. I've only got 2 sticks. I might just add 2 more. But really, in reality, there's not much difference between dual channel and quad channel performance, because memory is not your main bottleneck in the system. Okay. All right. So we have those installed. Now let's see if the cooler will fit. And I think there's no preference as to which side is front and back, as long as you have your fan installed correctly. Okay, so let's push it down. And the nice thing is it's really far away from the memories, thanks to the design of the motherboard, as well as a slimmer profile from the Noctua. We are able to have a lot of clearance for everything else. Okay, now I have it installed onto the plate. I'm just gonna try to tighten it. See if I actually got it in. Yeah. It's spring-loaded, so you need a little force to actually push it down. And this side as well. Okay, so now both sides is down. I'm just gonna tighten them simultaneously, so it doesn't have too much force on one side and crush the side. And I'm just gonna tighten to the point where it actually stops. Oh, sorry, wrong one. I'm a little worried about the clearance for the graphic card, because from what I know, the GTX 1080 actually have a back plate, and this thing is dangerously close to the PCI Express slot, so it's like very, very close. So we'll see what happens, and I might even have to take it off and return it tomorrow when the graphic card arrives. But for now, it's already very securely installed on the motherboard. Next step is, of course, get the fan on. So if you only have one fan, Noctua suggests to put the fan on the back to blow it inside. So that's what we're gonna do. And it's spring-loaded, so it's very easy to install. Okay. And let's make sure. Okay. I think it is correct. So we're aligned nicely. And put that on. Oops, sorry, I got bumped into the camera. So basically you just pull the spring really tight, and it goes into the mounting notches. Okay, and I have 2 notches. You are supposed, if you only have one fan, you're supposed to go into the deeper notch And if you have second fan installed over here, you'll switch out to a thick spacer and actually use the first notch over here because the spacer is thicker, so you can't go as deep. So now as you can see, the fan is already installed, no problem. And it's slightly movable on the system. So now next step, I think for me is actually, what else we have installed? Let's see, I think it's time to plug in all the cables, the power cables and the SATA for the, okay, the processor, 8-pin, that's for CPU. Let's find the 8-pin. Okay. I have to. So. I have one major, the 8-pin CPU cable installed from the back, so it doesn't show up in the front. And of course, this is the main power cable. Plug it in. And hide it as much as possible from the back, hopefully. And of course, I have a PCIe cable, which my graphic card haven't arrived yet, so still waiting on that. At this time, we can connect all the USB cables. Okay. Okay. I have a whole bunch of cables to plug into. And they might best to just come back from behind. And I don't want to bore you with all the cable installation, but this is basically it. Installation of the motherboard and the Noctua U14S CPU cooler. Installation is very, very easy, and their instruction is also very easy to follow. So if you have any other questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section, and I'll try my best to answer it for you. Thank you so much, guys.